Welcome to another OCD Recovery Instagram Live. I'm going to be talking a little bit about why OCD picks loss of connection. So if you look at the sort of most of the themes, most of them have some kind of a lot of them do tend to have some kind of connection element. So that means, for example, with sensory motor OCD, what if I'm so stuck in this anxiety cycle, I can never connect with the world properly again. I'm completely lost in this fear cycle. Then you've got solipsism OCD. What if I'm so stuck in feeling in this world, this separate world where everything feels like a robot, that I can never connect with the world again? Then you've got other forms of existential, like being stuck in a simulation, being stuck in a sort of a mad scientist's laboratory, which is kind of solipsism with a brain in a vat situation, that I'm never able, it's never me in real existence living in this world. And OCD is very good at mimicking that sensation. It will create that so that you feel like you're looking through misted glass, like you're slightly set back from reality. So that will happen too. Then you've got loss of connection with the other themes like HOCD. What if my family reject me, so I lose connection? What if health OCD? What if I'm in a coma or I'm dead, then I lose the loss of connection? What if I've caused harm or some kind of sexual crime that means that I'm ousted by society? Again, loss of connection. So a lot of them are to do with this sort of loss of connection thing, where then you're chasing, please, can I get the sensation of connection back by trying to get relief on one of these themes? And so then that cycle's going on. So you've got that cycle then sort of playing out as you're chasing to get connection. And obviously in our OCD, that's the whole core of the thing. What if I don't love my boyfriend? What if he doesn't love me? What if he's not right for me and we have to break up? Loss of connection again. So it's being aware of that is very important, because when you're aware that, there is this loss of connection element, you've got an understanding of where OCD is trying to get you. So you can see, that's what it's trying to do. And it's about realizing from the rational reality, seeing things as they are, that we can actually stand it even without connection. Then people will say, but I need connection. I'm desperate for connection. It says that we must have connection and see people. It's a bonus to have connection. If it wasn't possible to exist without connection, you wouldn't get any hermits living in a hut in the mountains, content at all in the day. Well, they are. They're not chronically anxious. They've chosen to live that way. Whether it's the healthiest option in sort of general life is debatable, but in terms of for themselves, they're certainly on a day-to-day basis usually not chronically anxious, because they've made peace with that situation, as do people who go mountain climbing for months at a time, or sort of in a sport which involves isolation, or a trek or adventure, and many of these sort of things that people can be involved in, where connection becomes the thing that they haven't got so much of whilst engaging in that particular thing. So I think that's very, very important to realize, because that's one of OCD's tricks that it's got behind the scenes, playing at all times. Not in all themes, of course, but in a lot of themes, that's what its sort of agenda is, where we can easily not be aware that that's what it's up to, that's what it's trying to do. Now, the other things that you've got with loss of connection is OCD is going to mimic that sensation so well to make you feel less connected. Now, you're going to naturally feel less connected anyway when you're in OCD suffering, because a lot of OCD sufferers, as I can tell from my own experience of being one, is that when we're stuck in it, we feel like we're almost sort of locked out from reality, like we're looking through glazed glass, and we've sort of got this OCD stare where we're just sort of looking ahead, but we're not really engaging in the world. And that's very much a situation that a lot of people are in, where they've just kind of checked out from reality to some extent. They're kind of in there, but they're not really. And I think that's very important, because otherwise what happens is, if we're not aware of how OCD sort of hijacks our general living, it's easy to see how it sort of plays. It's much better to see how it plays up. So it's going to create that sensation where we're living behind this sort of misted glass. And also with the themes like solipsism and so on, you'll feel like you're in that world, disconnected completely, as if the world is apparently 100% that we're in a simulation, or in this sort of world slightly set back. That will feel like that. Relationship OCD, you'll feel numb, often where you feel like you've lost all connection. All the OCD themes are going to feel as real as they care. And people say, well, how does it do that? It's so convincing. That's exactly what it does. If it wasn't that convincing, it wouldn't be the problem it is. It makes it feel absolutely convincing. You're utterly convinced that your theme is your reality. That's what it's doing. Okay, now let's have a little look through some of these questions. Give me 1 second. Thank you very much, Momin, for responding and helping. Momin helps out with doing lots of the coordination behind the scenes, obviously dealing with lots of different things in relation to the social media accounts, and Momin helps out a lot there. Let's have a look. Do you have any tips on how to get back to the real world? I lost all my friends, missed my first year of university, and was barely living. That's very much about, as we're bringing down the fears and we're working on our OCD and getting better, that's the first part. But then the second part is bringing OCD for the ride, learning to bring it for the ride. You know, when we're not bringing it for the ride and we're sort of really battling it, it's easy for that to happen. But there's a lot going on there. You need to, you obviously need to work you need to work and understand and learn and the process of OCD recovery, because until then it really very much gets a bite in there. So we need to work on that. And that's what it feels like. You know, OCD comes like feels like a typhoon and throws everything off course. Losing all your friends at one point in time is very common with a lot of mental health problems, as is it common with life. So it's about just getting back on your feet as best you can. Just because you didn't have any friends at that point doesn't mean you're going to never have any friends. So that is something that, you know, a moment that you experienced at one point or in the past is not it doesn't determine forever. One time I was scared to just go and see the outside world. Very common with OCD. That's very much about getting back out in the outside world as the exposure and getting used to seeing that it's not as scary as you think, the outside world, but OCD conjures up all those feelings and sensations that can make it feel so. When should an OCD sufferer take meds, and when shouldn't they? That's a discussion to be had with your doctor. You know, for meds advice, you want to speak to doctor. This is we don't discuss meds advice. That's something that we can't do. So speak to your doctor about that. But usually with OCD sufferers, when they're really struggling, it can be a helpful aid to take the edge off, not a cure, an aid to help take the edge off. Thank you, Rob. You've helped me a lot. I'm 15 and I've had OCD since I was 11. Your quotes and stoicism in the books have helped a lot. I can't thank you enough. Please check out on the Facebook group today. I just wrote an article this morning about solipsism. There is a seminar call coming up in the next few weeks. If you want to attend, email info@ocdrecovery.com for where I'll be talking alongside others about solipsism and how to get under it. It's a very, very common theme. It's one that I had myself, and very much applies to what I'm talking about today in this video, because it does make you feel like you're completely separate from things. I go through most of the questions. I don't respond to all. I just respond to the ones that I can kind of bring into today's topic, as well as ones that are reasonably simplistic to answer. When I'm referring to simplistic, I'm meaning ones that I can answer in Instagram live. Not that they're hugely complicated, but it's just in terms of the format of how I can go through those problems, rather than cover a broad topic like what is OCD recovery, what is unconditional self-acceptance, and so on. What else did I want to mention about that loss of connection thing? You know, there's a lot of it's about bringing it for the ride. You've got to get used to wearing that like an uncomfortable coat. You've got to get used to that you are feeling disconnected. That is your kind of sensation experience at present. And you've got to live your life and function through that, not wait for that to clear up, because that's a large part of the problem. Getting used to that is your experience, feeling disconnected at present, and you are going to still do everything feeling in that sensation. I still went on holiday, I still went for dinner, I saw friends, had relationships, even when I felt disconnected, completely convinced I was in either a simulation or a solipsism world. So you've got to wear that like an uncomfortable coat. Tricky to do, but is doable. And when you have more of the pieces of an understanding of how to get under the irrational beliefs and so on, it helps lift that and that reduces bit by bit. But it's a journey. It takes practice to see, believe and feel these things. You won't just snap out of it overnight, but definitely chasing to get rid of it so much is a large driver. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next Instagram Live. Take it easy.